Welcome to the Balanced Hormone Solution podcast. If you're a woman, 35 plus, feeling exhausted, struggling to lose weight, and wondering where your libido went, this is for you. I am Tracy, a functional medicine practitioner who helps women balance their hormones naturally without prescriptions, guesswork, or trendy nonsense. Because here's the truth. Your symptoms aren't random. They're signals. And if you know how to listen, you can fix the root cause and start feeling like yourself again. If you're ready for real solutions, let's get to it. Welcome back to the podcast of Balanced Hormone Solution. I am your host, Tracy, and today I have a very honored guest with us. My friend, JoEllen, is a client of mine, and she recently graduated from the Balanced Hormone Solution. And we are going to have a conversation about her journey in that program and what life is like for her. But before I turn it over to her, I want to introduce her in a way that carries a little bit of meaning and weight, because JoEllen is a person that is very intentional about the choices that she makes in her life. She is very purposeful, and she's a good friend to many. We personally met in church. And I've just really been blessed by her friendship through the years. JoEllen is a local school teacher at a Christian classical academy in our area. And she's also a beautiful artist. I have bought her note cards through the years and sent them to friends far and wide. So I love the work that she does there. You'll see what I mean when JoEllen begins talking. You'll see the depth of her intentionality about living her own life with purpose and with passion and with faith. So without further ado, welcome to the podcast, JoEllen.
Well, thank you for having me on, Tracy.
I'm so glad to have this conversation with you today. I just want to chat with you about mostly, before and afters, the journey in between, what your life is like now compared to what it was before. So let's just go ahead and jump in. And I would love for you to take me back to what life was like for you before you found the Balanced Hormone Solution.
Well, it really was filled with a lot of tiredness for basically 3 years. I had struggled with increasing tiredness in the afternoons. And it got to a critical point where literally I could not keep my eyes open. And it was the end of the day. I'm in dismissal with the kids. I'm supposed to be watching and making sure everybody is safe and everything. And I can't stop yawning. And it had gotten that bad right before I became aware of some kind of protrusion in my neck, and looked it up and realized I think this is my thyroid. So went to my GYN. I didn't have a primary care at that point because pretty much I'd been really healthy up to this point.
Didn't need those doctors.
And it was like all of a sudden my body decided that it was going to fall apart. And it started with the thyroid. And so she ordered an ultrasound for me, and had the ultrasound done, discovered that I needed to have 2 biopsies done. Actually 3, 2 on one side and 1 on the other, for nodules that were very large. And fortunately, they all came back negative for cancer. I was very thankful for that. And I thought, okay, well, I don't really know what to do now. I know I have an issue. I really want to just do the best I can to maybe try to change my diet somewhat. I didn't really know what to do. So, but I kind of plugged along and sort of just passed it off as, well, I guess that's better, because it seemed to have gone down. The swelling had gone down, and it wasn't as much of an issue until this past summer. when I had some extreme bleeding. And when I say extreme bleeding, I really mean extreme. And it was a little scary. I was out of town at a conference and literally was in a session, the beginning of the session, and was not near the hotel room and had to go and basically spend 30 minutes in the bathroom. I couldn't go out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the beginning of this next phase of my body falling apart. And after the conference, everything got under control to a point that I could actually go through the conference, and came home, already had an appointment with my GYN scheduled. But from the time of that extreme bleeding to the time that I saw her, it was about 2 months, and it was about a month and a half. And I had, it was bleeding the whole time, but not as strong. It was mostly just, basically had a nonstop period for almost 2 months.
Right.
So she ordered a pelvic exam, a pelvic ultrasound. And of course I had my mammogram at the same time because that was my routine.
Mm-hmm.
And the ultrasound indicated, yep, there's something that needs to come out. Not sure if it's going to end up being a hysterectomy, and she wouldn't know until she got in there. So, and school was about to start. So, literally,
When it rains,
school was
it
about to
pours.
start within about a week and a half.
Yeah.
So, the mammogram, unfortunately, came back with something suspicious. So I had to go through a diagnostic mammogram with a possible ultrasound. It went to the ultrasound. The doctor had to do a live ultrasound to see what was going on and determined that a biopsy was necessary, and decided to do biopsies on both breasts. And so had that done, came back with left side was fine, the right side, nope, we had cancer cells. And so that was a pretty traumatic experience, because literally that was the second day of school that I found that out. The end of the day, fortunately, I was very thankful for that. And so it was at that point that I knew, okay, if life can't be the same as it was. It's not the same. I will say that the Lord was incredibly near to me during that whole time. And my life has been changed for the better because of cancer. So I can say thankful for my cancer, and thankful for the journey that I have been through over the last year, really several years. And so it was after all of the surgeries. I had 3 within 6 weeks, all at the beginning of school. The last one was in October. And then after healing from that, I decided to go through radiation, and I did that and finished that over Christmas break. So at that point, I knew something has to change.
Yeah.
Something, I can't do this without help. Because I had already told my oncologist I was not going on estrogen blockers. Absolutely not. And she suggested that eating healthy, basically watching what I eat and going more Mediterranean diet would be the way to go. And so I tried to figure it out on my own and realized this is really serious. This is more than what I can figure out on my own. And I don't want to get this wrong. I really need to invest in understanding what I need to do. And so anyway, I kind of went into a little more than just what life was like before, but that is a big part of the result of years and years of stress. Stress that really I just worry too much, and I try to fix things for everyone.
Mhm.
myself included, but I do it in rather circuitous ways. And so it was stressful, stressful because I was burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
So, um, so anyway, that led me to this place of realizing I really needed to talk to you again. I had talked to you at
Yeah.
church one
Mhm.
time. We had had a conversation. I had a few tests done, and that was right after the thyroid, or right before the thyroid issue. I don't remember which one. So I had
Mhm.
already had the contact with you and knew when I came to that place of recognizing this is not, I can't do this on my own. That's when I reached out to you. So,
Yeah. And I'm curious, like, did anybody on your oncology team offer any type of specific nutrition advice or supplement or anything that you could do outside of pharmaceuticals?
so there was an option through Vanderbilt. I think it was through Vanderbilt or it might have been through Tennessee Oncology, but I would have had to travel up to Nashville, and it was a nutrition class, I would have met with a nutritionist. I just knew nothing about them. And
Yeah.
yes, okay, insurance, yes, probably would have paid for it, but to me, it was kind of a shot in the dark. And whereas I knew you and I had listened to several of your podcasts, there was something that I connected with. And I thought, she's actually been through it. These nurses, I don't know if they've been through it. I don't know what their
Mhm.
story is. And I, I can't guess that this is not oh, let me just try this and let me try that and just see if this works. No, I wanted something that I could, and if I was going to invest in it, it was going to have to really be something that helped me to make right decisions so that it wasn't just a short term change, but a lifelong change from here
Yeah.
until the Lord takes me home. So,
Yeah. Right.
um,
Yeah. And
so
I remember that.
not, yeah, no additional advice from the oncologist other than really trying to encourage me to do the estrogen blockers and at least radiation, if nothing else. And so I respectfully declined very strongly.
Mhm.
And she was very, she was respectful and she didn't push after that. So that was good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I remember that conversation because we were trying to figure out like the way forward and where we
Mhm.
were going to go from here. And then I had mentioned to you the balanced hormone solution, and you had said, "Oh, actually, I'm interested in that. Tell me more about that." And at the same time, there was another gal who joined right around the same time as you who also had come out of breast cancer. And so it was an interesting sort of collusion of people who were brought to the same place at the same time with the same type of needs, the same type of concern for their own health. The other gal I remember she did go through chemo, and her framework was, it was awful, and I never want to be in that place again. So how can I, clean up whatever's happening behind the scenes so that I never get there again. And so for you guys both to be starting that journey at the same time was pretty monumental. And not to minimize anybody's symptoms that they might experience, but your both of your stories really carried a lot of weight, and yeah, definitely garnered my own empathy, because yeah, it really felt like I can't mess around with this. I don't have time to try all of the things and, like you said, go down this road and find out, well, that was a waste of time and try something else. And of course, finances are limited. And so, yeah, so I just like, there was a lot of weight when you guys started. And I love the process of working with you because you had something really tangible in front of you. It
Mhm.
wasn't a random symptom like, oh, I get headaches before my period or something. And again, not to minimize that type of thing, but the passion that you brought into the BHS really propelled your success, I think. But so what was it like for you when you started the Balanced Hormone Solution and the group began to take shape and the education modules started to come your way? What did you feel like to now have somebody on your team that was providing you a different way forward, more comprehensive or more holistic approach?
Well, it was a breath of fresh air, and at the same time, it was so different that I just wasn't completely certain about it at
Mm-hmm.
first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I knew that I knew you, so I knew that you wouldn't lead me down a path um, that was harmful, um, and that you'd help lots of other women. So I wasn't shooting in the dark here necessarily, even though it felt like it was the dark to me at
Yeah.
first. Uh, it was pretty overwhelming initially, just the change, the trying to figure it all out as far as
Yeah.
all the how how to eat within the the parameters, because it was something new, and
Yeah.
whenever you start something new, it just takes a while to get used. Okay, these are the guidelines, and there's freedom within the guidelines. I sort of got used to that rhythm. It and yeah, I kind of went off your questions.
Yeah, no,
I
that's fine.
realize that I'm
No, that's
I'm not
fine.
really answering your question.
No,
um,
there's definitely a learning curve, right? When you
yes,
when you jump in and like what I think at the beginning you think, wow, 90 days, we have so much time to work on these things. And then just a couple days in, you're like, this is gonna go by so fast. I can't waste even one day.
right.
So in one sense, it feels like a long period of time. In another sense, it feels way too short.
Yes,
And there's a point in which women experience some form of mental transition where they begin to grasp like what's most important for me is consistency, like do the right thing over time, because doing the right thing here and there and anywhere is not the same thing as 50% or even 60, 75% every single day. And so it takes a little bit of working out, like what do I really need to do to create a result in my life? What does it require of me to actually move the needle? And anytime we're changing our nutrition plan or we're adopting a new movement plan, it takes time to see results. And what I feel is so important about your particular progress in the balanced hormone solution is that many women give up before they start to see measurable change, and they start to just feel a little bit defeated like, well, I've been doing this for 2 weeks and I'm just not seeing the weight move, and that can feel very defeating. On the other hand, what we're talking about is that consistent approach over time is really what moves the needle long term. And so that means we have to keep doing the right thing even if we don't have measurable results right in front of us. And then it's almost like boom, you realize I had a lot of energy yesterday. And yeah, the day before that, I felt really good too. Almost sneaks up on you. And then you're at a point where you're like,
yeah,
you know what? Like, yeah, actually my pants are starting to fit better and I'm sleeping better through the night. And all of a sudden it's like compounding interest. You put a little bit
yes,
inconsistent and then exponential growth happens. And along that way,
yes.
you never gave up. You never said, well, this isn't really, we're notorious, I think, for just, we'll switch plans and try something new rather than just sticking to the right one. And so I
Well,
think that's
one of
kind
the
of what you're
things
touching on.
Yes. Well, and one of the things that I appreciated and I appreciate so much is that now I'm able to fix my own meals and I am not afraid of using my cast iron skillet. In fact, that is what I use primarily most of the time is cast iron skillet, and I'm doing sauteed vegetables and in a very minimal oil. Like I really just, wipe it on and wipe it off. And I have all kinds of combinations that it doesn't matter what I have in my refrigerator. Okay, let's take this, and and
Oh
combine.
yeah.
And I've learned all kinds of new vegetables, and I absolutely love vegetables now. That's my go-to. Ugh, can't get
Yeah.
enough of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, uh,
Well,
working with you has been very helpful, very very helpful.
perimenopause got you feeling like a hormonal hostage? Your period's unpredictable, your sleep's trash, your mood's a minefield, and no one prepared you for this. Enter the Balanced Hormone Solution, my 90-day program for women 35 plus who are done guessing and ready to feel like themselves again. Because we test, not guess. We detox, rebalance, and get your hormones and your life back in check. Because you're not broken, you're just burned out. So let's fix that. Head to TracyAaronWellness.com and let's get started. So let's dive into like the specific type of changes that you've noticed since you've been in the program.
Well, I would say one of the biggest changes is just actually, there are a lot of changes.
Mm.
There have been a lot of things that have changed. So the first thing I would say is I am prioritizing my nutrition, and I'm prioritizing low stress. I'm doing as much as I can to keep my stress levels low. So not burning the candle at both ends, making sure that I'm not going to school an hour and a half early, not staying so that I'm staying at school for 12 to 14 hours. That's not happening anymore. I am leaving like a normal person.
Yeah.
I'm actually taking care of myself in ways that I have not taken care of myself for years. And one of the biggest ways is not just the time, but also the nutrition, and really figuring out what is it that my body needs. And so understanding that has changed, understanding what my body needs, and being able to figure out how to manage my time, the time that is necessary for planning ahead for the next day, because I don't like being stressed in the morning. So everything has to be done the night before, and it has to be sitting in the refrigerator ready to go for the next day. And all my meals have to be planned for that next day before I go to bed. And so that has been a routine that has changed. That certainly was not even remotely on my mind before. It was, well, what do I feel like eating?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What do I feel like eating today? I don't know. No, that doesn't sound good. And,
Yep.
now that's not the question anymore.
Yeah.
It's, okay, what does my body need?
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether it's, oh, this is so delicious.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Today I had something that was okay, but it wasn't what I would call delicious. It wasn't terrible. It just wasn't the best, but it was okay. It was what I needed, and I felt satisfied by the time I was done. And so I think those are the major things that have changed. And then also my energy level has changed. My sleep pattern has changed. Before Balanced Hormone Solution, I was getting up 3 or 4 times during the night to go to the bathroom. I was not really sleeping well. I'd wake up feeling extremely tired, even after trying to get even 8 hours of sleep. And I knew I wasn't really in a deep sleep.
Right.
Um, Wearing the glucose monitor
Oh, yeah.
was really helpful. And this last time of wearing the glucose monitor really helped me to hone in on preventing my blood sugar from dropping into the 50s overnight. And
Yeah.
realizing now, I think that's been part of the issue over the course of, the years, is that I've had low blood sugar at night. And
Right.
then that causes the cortisol to go up.
Yep.
And then my cortisol is depleted, and then I'm tired in the morning. And so this vicious cycle was happening. And now I feel like it's finally that cycle is starting to break,
Yeah.
and that I am sleeping better. So even if I only get 7 hours of sleep or 7.5, I am not exhausted during the
Yeah.
day. Whereas before, 7 hours of sleep would have been exhausting. So
Yeah. And most women think, oh, I slept 7 or 8 hours last night, I'm fine. But unless they have a monitor or a sleep tracker, they don't realize how many times their body is actually waking up or moving into a lighter sleep period. So you might lay in bed that long, but you're not cycling through deep sleep, REM, into light over and over and over. We're just constantly being disrupted by these blood sugar spikes or dips. Dips more
Mhm.
common at night. And I love what you mentioned too about like the emotional eating. When we start to track our blood sugar, we begin to realize how much insulin drives the way we feel about food. And when that gets balanced and we have proper nutrition on board, then our cravings aren't driving the car anymore. And it doesn't mean that every once in a while you don't want a piece of chocolate cake still or something, or you can't celebrate every once in a while. But it does mean that we're not driven by the desire for a food that actually later makes us feel worse. And planning ahead is just such a useful tool for staying on top of the plan. Like they say, you eat for your plan, not for your mood. And I think a lot of people would just say that they're not an emotional eater, because that sounds maybe off-putting right off the bat. But if you really think about the types of decisions you make on a daily basis, should I have this or this? And we like to give ourselves all these options, and we don't want to feel tied down to anything. And we all want to be free because, we're not slaves to anything, much less a meal plan. But what happens is like you begin to experience all this freedom when you do have a plan and your blood sugar begins to balance out. And all of a sudden, you're not hangry at 3 p.m., reaching for salty snacks. We're not eating, sweets late at night to put us to bed. Everything just sort of evens out. And that is just such an overlooked, but beautiful result of managing insulin. It used to be that like we thought this was just for diabetics. But thankfully, glucose monitors are becoming more and more mainstream. Still not as accessible as I would like them to be. You need a doctor's prescription, which is kind of silly, but we utilize them in the Balanced Hormone Solution because when women see themselves on a glucose graph or on a cortisol graph through the Dutch test, they begin to have aha moments. And that's why I wanted to come back to that, JoEllen, because like you had said, you're realizing you're burning the candle at both ends, that, the need to control or feeling stressed about things being just right. And we can go on like that for years and years and years. And we're doing the right thing and we're going to get it all done. And we're, I don't really like to say type A, but, we accomplish a lot in our lives and we're very
Right.
proud of that. And
Mhm.
then you see yourself on a cortisol curve, on a Dutch test, and you realize, oh no, to my detriment are these decisions that I continue to perpetuate every single day. And so having that kind of data is so much more potent than just thinking, yeah, I need to stress less, or yeah, I should take a bath every once in a while, or what's kind of big in pop culture is like, me time. But we don't have any science behind it. We don't have the data to show that it's making a difference. And we don't have ourselves on paper. So that's why one of the reasons I love testing is we can say, oh, and that's why I'm tired every day at 3 p.m. or that's why I can't get going in the morning. So what did you think about, like, how was your experience, particularly with testing and getting data points that helped you to make those refining decisions on stress, movement, sleep, eating, and all that?
I have found them very vital, very, very helpful. So the Dutch test in particular helped to confirm some things that I was thinking was possibly the issue. And the whole reason I really wanted to do the balanced hormone solution was for the balancing of the estrogen and progesterone. And because I had a feeling that the progesterone was lower and that the estrogen was higher, and that was contributing to a lot of what I had been experiencing, particularly the breast cancer. So, the Dutch test, taking the Dutch test, it really wasn't that was no big deal, but getting the information was really, really important. Understanding especially the importance for me of eating cruciferous vegetables.
Oh, yes.
Because of the danger zone, that the estrogen, that danger pathway that some of the estrogen was going. So that just highlighted, okay, I like broccoli, but at that point I wasn't sure that I liked broccoli at every single meal. Now I'm like, oh, bring it on. I will eat broccoli anytime. And of course it's not just broccoli. I've branched out to more than just broccoli. And so
but it becomes medicine. When you see yourself on paper, these food choices become medicine because you see what a big deal they are.
And the spices. I loved the fact that you said that spices, there were no limits. So I pretty much have found my favorite spices, and I kind of change it up a little bit here and there. But for the most part, I have my favorites that I just put in the saute, in the skillet with the veggies, and doesn't matter what it is. It pretty much it's great. So then I had the what was the other test?
Okay, so the Dutch test, the blue poo.
Right. The blue poo was, hello, that was an eye-opener that 4 days, hello.
Yeah.
It took 4 days for food to pass through my system. There's a problem.
There is a problem, right? Even if you're eliminating every single day, you think that was from the meal that you had last night.
Right, exactly.
You take this test
4 days ago. So I haven't done the blue poo test again yet, but that is coming up soon. I'm gonna take care of that very soon. I'm hoping for improvement.
Yes.
And then what was the gut zoomer? I think there was the gut zoomer.
Oh yeah, we did the gut zoomer.
Yes. Yep. So that one was also very helpful in getting the results of what was going on in my gut, what was going on in those intestines. And and then from there, discovering actually that I was having issues with the gallbladder and potential stones, and then doing the gallbladder cleanse, gallbladder and liver cleanse. That was a very interesting experience, and I would do it again. Absolutely. It was very, very helpful, and I haven't had an issue since then.
Right.
At least, hopefully it stays that way, but I know I'll probably need to do another one at some point.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, you've heard me say it a bunch of times, because it's one of my very favorite quotes in terms of like the bigger picture of sickness or illness in the body, which is we're not sick from what comes in the body. We're sick from what we can't get rid of. And so that liver gallbladder cleanse provides a way to soften these stones that stay behind and all the sludge that gets mixed up in our gallbladder. and slows everything down. It's like a clogged drain for the liver and gallbladder. And so when we soften all that sludge, provide a way for it to be eliminated, just imagine unkinking a hose, how far your water stream could go. That's the picture of, okay, now we're flowing, now we're eliminating toxins, now we're moving the way that we should be moving. We've got a rapid stream instead of the stagnant water. Well, sickness breeds in stagnation. And so that liver gallbladder cleanse was something extra that you and I had done based on your symptoms.
Yes.
And it is amazing to see what happens when you begin to make a way for the body to use its natural processes of elimination. And then guess what? Like, the body has amazing intelligence to do what it needs to do. But sometimes a lot of it is because of the toxic environment that we live in. We provide a little bit of extra help here and there, whether it be help nutritionally or help in detoxifying, to help those organs work better and do their jobs. And that you had great results with that cleanse.
Well, and you had recommended, I don't remember if it was based on those results or something else, but we had discussed, it was in the Balanced Hormone Solution. You had mentioned a DEXA scan.
Yes.
So I went ahead and did that and did a bone density scan with it. And so glad that I did that, because learned that I do have early stage osteoporosis in a few places. And so that has definitely caused me to prioritize a little bit more that exercise is really important, and it's no longer an option. If there's no option here, it's no, I really need to do this. And in addition to that, the bone density results confirmed why I did not want to do the estrogen blockers. So that was I think the Holy Spirit was really pressing it upon me. No, you are not doing that. And not a good idea.
And then months later got the evidence to support
And
that.
now I have the evidence. Yes. I'm very thankful.
Perimenopause got you feeling like a hormonal hostage? Your period's unpredictable, your sleep's trash, your mood's a minefield, and no one prepared you for this. Enter the Balanced Hormone Solution, my 90-day program for women 35 plus who are done guessing and ready to feel like themselves again. Because we test, not guess. We detox, rebalance, and get your hormones and your life back in check. Because you're not broken, you're just burned out. So let's fix that. Head to TracyAaronWellness.com and let's get started.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, so many data points that gives you resolve to keep going in the right direction, to keep doing it. Like you said, like, we all know we should exercise and put some muscle mass on our bodies. But when you see a DEXA scan and realize how much bone density there is or isn't, then you go, okay, I've got to do this. And that brings a different energy to, that's how it changes the way we show up for ourselves. When we know that we need to, when we know that if we do, we will experience this greater result. And I mean, I don't know, there's nothing quite like showing up for ourselves in a way, this is a different topic, but like, women, I think, are really good at meeting the needs of everyone around us. And we're very good at seeing that everybody is taken care of. And we often put ourselves on the back burner. It's often at the expense of our own needs. And so, yes, like you're mentioning, collecting these data points over and over gives you more evidence. This is how I can prioritize myself. This is how I can say yes to myself. And guess what? The more you prioritize yourself and say yes to yourself, and the stronger and healthier you get, the better you can give to others. That's that old saying, you can't give out of an empty cup, but you've really experienced this on a deeper personal level, which, is just really amazing. But it seems to me like, before you started, when you discovered nodules and you began that process of looking for a doctor and getting the biopsies, which, set off sort of a cascade of then a treatment plan later on, to where you are now, I see in you uh, this like ability to trust in yourself. Like,
Um,
a, yeah, you describe it. You put it in
so
your words.
I would say it's, and I'm not quite sure how to say it. So I'll say it and then I don't know, I may retract something. But,
Yeah.
um, I think I have a better understanding of how God designed the body to work.
Mm, yeah.
And now that I am understanding how it works and I understand what it is that He has created, that it is meant to feed the body He created,
Mhm.
that I'm and that I'm not masking symptoms with food that is not helpful to the body that He created.
Mhm.
I am able to read better the symptoms that I am experiencing and understanding what needs to be done. And so it's not that I'm trusting my body necessarily. I mean, although I suppose you could say it that way. I guess I look at it more like I have a better understanding of what He has designed, and I have a sense of clarity
Yeah.
that's not clouded anymore
Mhm.
by bad choices,
Mhm.
and bad food choices in particular, um, so that I can actually I can read the symptoms, and I have to pay attention to what He is also bringing to my mind and my heart. That when there is an issue, like when the gallbladder was an issue, I asked the Lord, okay, what's going on? Is this the gallbladder, gallstones? Yeah, it kind of seems like it. And so, move down that path of, all right, what do we need to do? And so I hope that answers the question. Hopefully
Yeah, I think you're painting this picture of like being more intimately connected
yes,
to your own body.
yes.
And wow, what a gift. We can go through life so disconnected from our own bodily experience that we don't understand, we can't decode our symptoms. We don't know what is what. And for many of us, we're experiencing so many things that are sort of off kilter at once. It's very hard to pinpoint what a root could be. And so you've painted this picture beautifully of like, you might start out with 10 things, let's say, but as you begin to work and get the body back into balance, you have two things left that are more clear. This is the path to move forward and focus on these, but it's not 10 anymore because the other 8 began to get resolution. And then, that's that consistency over time that actually that's how we're going to achieve true healing is to, we go from this state of we've got multiple things going on and we have to have some form of process of elimination. Um, and yeah, so that's why I love like in the Balanced Hormone Solution with our supplement protocol, really starting in the gut, because if we don't address that digestion, the gut, the liver health, then we can do supplement protocols for years. We can be chasing chronic infections. We can be chasing root cause of toxicity and tumors and all kinds of things, but never we might get there, take a long time, but the fastest way really is to just to start there and go do the inside out. But so let me ask you this then. What do you think the old you would say if she could see you now? And that old you could be years ago, or that old you could be before your diagnosis most recently. You pick.
So I think one of the things my old me would say is, wow, you got down to that weight again? I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah.
At your age. I mean, I haven't seen this weight since my late 20s, early 30s.
Amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is really amazing. And so actually, I think my old self would say, you look great. How did you do it?
Yeah.
How did you do it?
How did you do it?
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell her?
I would tell her that, oh boy, it was a lot of work and it was worth it. I invested in myself. I invested in my health. I
Amen to that.
and took it seriously because there was no room for playing around. And so. Yeah.
Well, I had a conversation with one of your friends today who reached out to me because she said, you've been working with my friend JoEllen, and I just had to ask her what she's been doing because she looks amazing. She's glowing. She truly has health from the inside out. And then she said what I thought was so beautiful. She just said, I think she just looks like the best version of herself. And I told her, I said, that is such a beautiful thing to say about your friend. And so she was calling me saying, like, I want what JoEllen has, which was very sweet. But so not only would your old self say that, but your current friends are saying that too.
Thank you.
Which is pretty cool. So tell me, like, what would you tell one of your friends who you feel like is, having those afternoon slumps, tired all the time, frustrated, maybe seeing doctors, not making good progress, and just not sure what the next step should be? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would let them know that that the issues are things that the doctors just they're so specialized, they're not able to see the big picture, and that there's a lot going on in the hormones that need to be addressed. And I would say to them, if the cost is off-putting to you, think about it this way. One way or another, you're going to be paying for your health. Whether it's going to be years from now when you are paying out the cost of what you've been doing to your body through either some kind of a diagnosis or surgeries or something along those lines, or whether you are being proactive and learning how to take care of your body. And it is an investment. It is definitely an investment. And that is how I have had to look at it, is I am investing in however many years the Lord has for me to tarry on this earth. And whatever it is that he has for me to do, I want to be able to do it to the best of my ability. But if I am not well, if I am not, if I don't have the strength or the energy to do it, then, I mean, obviously, yes, in my weakness, he is strong. And definitely especially during the diagnosis and the surgeries and just healing from all those surgeries, this year has been definitely a year of testing and seeing that the Lord has been everything that he says he is. And I mean, just everything that I have understood is so much more compounded now than it has ever been before. So regardless of what he has for me in the future, and if there's another diagnosis at some point, at least my thoughts on this now are, at least I am not making poor choices that are contributing to that, and contributing to a diagnosis of some sort, that it's just because of my poor choices. I would be able to say at that point, well, that's what he's called me to.
Yeah.
And I know he called me to this diagnosis, and
Yeah.
it was a wake-up call for me.
Yeah.
That he has more work for me to do because I'm still here. So,
Right. Yeah. I love that because I like to think of it like this. If, you know, um, when you consider the cost of what it might require to get your health back if you've lost it, the idea is like, have you considered the price of staying sick?
right.
And I'm not just talking dollars, but the mental price that we pay, the exhaustion, the margin that we lose, the joy that gets robbed out of our day-to-day moments, the relationships we miss out on, the things we say no to, on and on and on. I mean, so it's like we pay either way. We pay either way, and I would much rather be in the camp of paying for health than paying to try to recoup from an illness.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need to be hit over the head with a 2x4.
Oh, it's too many times. Yes. Yes.
So this is my 2x4.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all useful for us. Like you said, there's a purpose and a plan in all of it. And think of all of the women that you will be able to touch because of your own personal experience. I mean, there's multiple people here who will hear this podcast and hear your story, but the people at your school, the people at your church and your community, when you have people who come up to you and say, "What are you doing? You look like the best version of yourself." I mean, is there a better testimony of what it looks like to invest in your own health? I mean, that is so sweet for somebody to notice that about you. And so clearly it is just, it's emanating from you. But so let me wrap up by asking you, if you could explain your experience in the Balanced Hormone Solution in one sentence, what would it be?
Okay. So, I would say basically what I've already just said, that the Balanced Hormone Solution is an investment in your health that pays great dividends in the present and in the future to allow you to serve those around you with purpose and dedication while also taking care of yourself.
Amazing. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
I like that one sentence. All right. Well, something that I ask every single person that I have on the podcast as a guest is just a fun little summary note is, why don't you share with us one thing that you do on a daily basis to support your health?
Okay. Well, am I limited to one?
And I know. You've got a lot going on, so share whatever you like.
I've already talked about nutrition. I've already talked about how I meal plan. I've already talked about how I choose foods that are nutritious for me. So I don't need to repeat those things, although I just did. But I would say one of the most important things that I have done is taken time in the morning, having a routine in the morning where I am spending time with the Lord and knowing that this is vital. This is more than just, I need to read my Bible this morning. This is okay, I need this time of focusing in on what is really important. What is the most important thing in my life? And that actually helps to balance the whole rest of the day.
Yeah.
And, there are days when I don't get that done. Yes, there are. But I'm not beating myself up for them anymore. I'm recognizing, okay, there was a season, and there are seasons where it's just not possible to do what I have set out to do. of spending, 20 to 30 minutes of really, really reading and searching and even journaling. But taking that time and recognizing that was part of the Balanced Hormone Solution. I think it was month 2 of establishing a routine in the morning and in the evening. And both of those have changed from my original plan, but I still think I still see that there is still a routine in both of those places. So having those established routines, I think has helped to, like I said, it helps to set the framework for the rest of the.
That's what I was going to say. Set the tone for the rest of the day. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. That's a beautiful thing. So much of our health is experienced in what we might consider boring activities, repetition, consistency. We want things to be like lively and exciting every single day, but we do best when we're somewhat scheduled and our body can expect some routine. So putting that back into our lives, but when you get to the point of actually needing it because you enjoy it so much, that's like a whole new level. And I love that you've gotten there. Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being personal with all of us about your health journey. And for you, this is just the beginning. Like you have the momentum to go forward into the future, and there are no limits for you. Like I know you're going to prioritize your strength training and maintain your bone mass and continue to eat well and prioritize your stress and move through the seasons of life as a woman with grace. And it's just been a real pleasure to work with you. And I look forward to continue working with you too.
Thank you.
So thank you for being here today.
Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. And that is all for now. Thank you for listening. That's it for today's episode of the Balanced Hormone Solution podcast. If this resonated, don't just listen, do something about it. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you know another woman who's tired of feeling like a stranger in her own body, send her this way. For more support, check out the show notes. I've got resources to help you get started. Just remember, your body isn't broken. You just need the right tools. See you next time.